Grab another cup of coffee. Hour number 2. Roddey Player, CEO of Queen City Homestore, continues his conversation with Ray. He's going to be talking about his business, what the future looks like for them, and pretty much anything that you want for your home, he's got you covered. About Your House is brought to you in part by PutToolsInSchools.org, connecting students to tools of the trades and raising awareness of the many career pathways. About Your House is also brought to you in part by Queen City Home Store. Queen City Home Store is a family-owned store that's been serving the Carolinas for over 70 years. They're the largest independent appliance retailer in the Carolinas, constantly growing and taking pride in the experience that they offer customers with a knowledgeable sales staff, product selection, and lowest price guarantee. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some time with us. And now, here's your host, Ray Terry.
And good morning. Welcome back to hour number 2 here on About Your House. Heard every week, 9 to 11 on Fox Sports Charlotte. Tune in, turn on, and learn something. This episode, no different. Roddey Player in the house today. Queen City Home Store, talking appliances, furniture, home furnishings, and all things new with Queen City Home Store. And also heard on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, every Tuesday, streaming live from 10 to noon every Tuesday morning, and then we play the show, Fox Sports Charlotte, every Saturday morning, 9 to 11. So tune in. And also go to YouTube, subscribe, like, ring the bell. You know all the standard stuff, but subscribe to our channel, be it Put Tools in Schools or About Your House Radio. 2 channels every Tuesday, streaming live, 10 till noon. Today, talking appliances. You know, first hour we talked about employees, and I can't do this show without honoring someone that's been with you a long time.
Yeah.
How many years? Chip Fincher.
Yeah, 33 years.
Chip Fincher's, and a lot of people listening and have listened to this show know Chip because Chip sold. Well, tell them about how Chip's done.
So I tell you, Chip came to us as a mere babe, I guess. Worked in the industry for distributor, Southern Radio Distribution on Morris Street years ago. Chip came to us, has been there a long time. It's been 33 years, and Chip has done business with all of the top custom builders in town. The relationships he's built over these years is just phenomenal.
The decorators, the remodelers, the home builders.
The impact he's had on the industry, and really the impact on the number of projects that he's touched. So looked at some numbers, and it's just astonishing the numbers. I mean, tens of thousands of projects that he's been involved with in the Charlotte area. I say not just Charlotte, we do work in the mountains and coast and things like that too, but to see the work that he's done and continues to do, to be candid with you, but he's had some health challenges here recently and got a tremendous support group with him too. Teresa Jordan has worked for us for almost that long. Is this resource for the administration and communication with clients and managing quotes and order management and things like that. It's done a tremendous job for him over the years. But he's had some challenges. He's still working to engage with us. But we're trying to help him get some help and get some his health improved. And but it's been really great to see the team step in and cover. But I guess for those that do know him, if you're hopefully nobody's having any trouble reaching somebody in the system for the Teresa, and we got 3 or 4 of those to back him up in the office there. But we love Chip and what he's done for our business especially. But I know his clients love him too because of what he's done to make their jobs easy. And it's been a great run. It continues to be a great run.
And it would be a great disservice for me to not mention Chip and his accomplishments and his great gift to the people and the customers of Queen City Home Store.
Yeah.
He's a great guy, so put him in your prayers.
Wealth and knowledge, and just really good. But yeah, we continue to pray for healing, and but he's a great man, great family. I spent some time with him yesterday, and his kids are doing wonderfully, and they've got a lot to be proud of what he and Carol have accomplished over these years they've been married. And God, he's probably. I mean, he's been married almost 40 years, if not there yet. He's got to be close, I'm sure.
Right.
So probably he's not old to be. Well,
put him in your prayers, folks.
Please do, yeah.
For good health and wellness.
Yes, sir.
That's Chip Fincher.
Yes,
Just
sir.
wanted to give you an update on him, and and honor him for his accomplishments in Queen City. And there again, there's another testimonial to how Queen City Homestore got the top workplace 2025.
Yep.
Taking care of their employees.
Hopefully we'll keep that streak alive.
Hopefully. I certainly hope so. But Queen City Homestore in-house today, and talking, well, all they do. Let's talk bedding a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, you went into bedding before you went into furniture, didn't you?
Yes, it's been 20 years now probably since we did that, if not more, maybe 25 years. You know, Ray, I'll ask you this.
Go to the microphone.
I'm sorry, Ray. I'll ask you this, where do you spend the majority of your day? If
in bed.
I mean, hopefully we're all spending 8 hours in bed. We may not be sleeping, but
right.
Hopefully we're spending 8 hours in bed, and it's an important place to make sure you're at your best comfort. And so we've got people in our stores that are expert salespeople, but I'd like to see them as more communicators, and they're product specialists.
Sure.
And asking the right questions. And if you buy a mattress, it's not an easy thing to do. I'm not always real happy with, a fellow will call me, a guy will call me and say, I'm going to send my wife to buy a mattress for us. I said, wait a minute, you need to come with her because, your comfort level may be different than hers, and there's ways to solve those problems too if somebody needs a firm and somebody needs a plush. So yeah, we like it when couples come together to pick out a mattress.
Two-legged sales.
Yeah. But it's important that to get the right comfort level, and so our people are trained on that to make sure they ask the right questions and pressure points, and there's different construction. That world has changed dramatically in the last 10 years. There's technology behind mattresses. You think they're
well, that's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
Because I've bought a few in the past 10, 15, 20 years, and I'll be honest with you, the last one I got was Tyndall.
Yeah.
Because
good people.
Chuck Tyndall.
Yeah, great.
Another family
no
business in the furniture business. Are they still out in Indian land?
I haven't heard them out doing much advertising lately, but I sure hope so. It was a great family business, but that was a big place out there. They that was them on South Boulevard too, right? And they closed that location down, but it wasn't that far from Indian land. So, but great people know Chuck, but the technology, they're still all pretty much made by hand, unless they're pouring them in foam matches. Some of them are poured, but even those there's a handmade technology to them, and you walk into one of those factories. It's not like a TV factory where they're building all this automation and robots and things like this, building things. They're cutting and stitching and sewing and all kinds of things on these mattress covers, and it's a manual process. And so you can spend. It's scary to think. You think about spending money on things. You can buy a mattress for probably as low as a couple $100, but you can pay $10,000 or $12,000 for a mattress too. And so if you're going to spend that kind of money on something, yes, Tempur's top end is over $10,000, and Tempur-Pedic, their top end is over $10,000. And so we got to know you can't just sell that to somebody without knowing how it's made and why it's going to benefit them. And it's not for everybody. Not everybody can afford it either. But yeah, we've got to understand. We're trained on mattresses just like we are on appliances and electronics and furniture too.
Right, so you got salespeople in there that are highly trained in the mattress market.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Do you sell many mattresses? I know that's kind of a crazy question.
We do. It's not the largest part of our business, but once again, the clients and guests that are customers that are doing something in their kitchens, there's something going on in the house. They're moving. They're adding on. There's some kind of reason for doing what they're doing, and frequently that means there's furniture coming with it. There's mattresses coming with it, because, like you say, it's not just new construction we do, but when people are moving into new homes, existing home sales. A lot of people want new appliances. They don't want used appliances.
Oh, that's true.
And I understand that.
I just had a customer. I remodeled their kitchen back in early '90s. Mm-hmm. And she called me here a few weeks back and say, Ray, we're going to move.
Yeah.
And, I've got a list that I need to work on for the house. And so I went in, and she was OCD off the charts, too.
Yeah.
But she's sweet as can be, and I love working with that family. And the thing about remodeling, when you remodel with a customer, they become friends. if it goes well, which 99% of the time my customers always are left with a great relationship. Well, anyway, she called me up and she was talking about, well, Ray, I need to do this in the bathroom. Ray, I need to do. I says, no, you don't. You don't have to do anything. The house is immaculate, although it's dated.
Yeah.
Because they've lived in that house over 40 years.
Sure.
And she's talking about the crack around the range. I said, you don't want to caulk that. She says, but why? And I told her why. And she said, okay, that makes sense. I said, to change the range, now you got to cut the caulk and you got to do all that. No, you don't want to do that. But my point here is, a lot of people selling homes fix that home up. I had a conversation with a real estate gentleman right here in the studio about 4 weeks ago, how they stage houses and everything now, and they spend all this money. When in the Charlotte market, of course, I got news last week, the Charlotte market's not as bountiful as it was, say, 4 years ago. But at any rate, when people buy a new house, an existing home, typically they go in there and do their own thing.
Right.
Am I right or wrong?
Absolutely. I mean, that's just part of the deal. They like you say, some people don't want to be using appliances that somebody else used, and so
Right.
frequently they just want to look new. It's a chance to restart.
Sure.
So if you're spending good money on a house, and hopefully there's a little bit of reserve for some kind of budget where there's new furniture to make it look new, and it's just a chance to refresh, I guess.
Sure.
Refresh things, and so people love. But yeah, a lot of our business comes. It's not just. There's not always cabinet work involved. There's not always new construction. We can frequently
retrofit.
We can. I mean, there's a lot of homes out there that there is a standard range in there that we can replace without modifying anything. And an over-the-range microwave, or even a hood and refrigerators, as long as we know what the sizes are, there's something that's going to fit because there's something in there now. So, like I say, if I know what those model numbers are, we can make a kitchen look brand new just by swapping the appliances out and a little energy on cleaning the countertops and wiping the cabinets down.
Two things you can do. Wipe, as you said, cabinetry, wiping them down, cleaning them up, possibly painting them, possibly.
Yep.
And one of the big things though is lighting. You go in and light a kitchen, new appliances, and a lot of people put new counters on. You know, save the cabinets because they're good.
Right. New
counters, new appliances, and you've got a new kitchen.
Right. And like I say, painting's not easy, and painting can. I don't know. What do you find people are happy with painting 5 or 6 years? I did that one time before. I mean, whether it's a bad job or whatever, but there was some wear and tear on it and some chipping and things like that because it's painted. Whereas the stuff coming out of the factory
finish,
paint booths or whatever, is different than if you go in there and paint an existing cabinet.
Matter of fact, I highly recommend if you get your cabinets painted, you get a cabinet painter.
Okay.
I mean, that sounds crazy, but there are people in Charlotte, and a couple females too, that specialize in that niche of cabinet painting. Yeah. And when they finish a cabinet painting job, it's done correctly. And when I say correctly, there's the most important thing in finishing cabinets is prep. Just like any painting job, prep's essential. But if you want a new kitchen without replacing all the cabinets and a new look, that's one way to get it.
You don't want a distressed look you didn't pay for.
That's right. That's right. But we were talking about appliances. Where do you find the biggest? I'm gonna throw this question at you. Where are the most problems come in the house, the area of the house with appliances? With service and things like that, it's awareness of size. I'm alluding to the laundry room.
Yeah. So that's another. I wrote that down to talk about laundry room and dimensions again in laundry rooms.
That's why I brought it up.
So we've got our consumers. Everybody wants more capacity, more capacity, more capacity, more capacity.
Bigger, bigger, bigger,
and bigger, bigger, bigger. They can't put it in the same footprint. Can't put it in the same height. And so whereas the standard, we talked about that, dimension used to be 27 inches wide for a washing machine.
29.
And there was a 29-inch dryer that Whirlpool had for decades. They've always had it. And so, but if you had a 56-inch hole, you could do either, maybe a 58-inch hole. But now the front loaders, they want more capacity. And so a lot of people wanted to put their front load washers and dryers under a counter.
Right.
Well, now the new ones are probably an inch and a half or two taller than the ones we had 20 years ago because they went from 4 cubic feet to 5 cubic feet. And so now what do you do then? And so I was talking to somebody the other day, I want a front load washer and I want to put a countertop over it. I said, wait a minute, before you do that, let's make sure that we can easily elevate that counter. I don't know what the dimensions are going to be in 10 years, but let's make it flexible.
Sure.
And you can easily do that. You know, it's not hard construction. Maybe it's pegs in the wall or something like that.
Right.
So you just set the countertop on top of it instead of building, you know, rails and whatever else to do that. And so it's not hard to do if you. What are we talking about? Planning? How many times have we said that day? Plan for it.
Planning's everything.
Yeah, and so plan for making it flexible and it can work for sure. But yeah, no, that's we find bifold doors. You know, once again, they're also deeper. It's not only width but depth. They want bigger.
The depth is a big factor.
Bifold closets, making sure we can fit, and that's where you guys made a living doing that too with your products, your dryer vent products.
Yeah, and that's
because it
something
lets you push it back deeper into the setting.
I want to throw that in the mix here. Dryer vents and dryer venting are out of sight and out of mind. I mean, there are people out there that owned homes their whole life and never knew there was a dryer vent on the back of their dryer. Now, I know that seems kind of crazy, but I've run across it, believe me. And, yep. And you've got to be aware of airflow with a clothes dryer for safety reasons, for dryer vent fires, dryer fires, whatever. And you say dryer fires, there's over 20,000, 30,000 dryer vent fires every year in America. They're not, the data on them is not accurate because fire departments first don't know where the fires come from always, but regardless, they know there's well over 20,000 due to insurance numbers. But be sure that, going back to the sizes, you need to know the depth and measurements of your existing space, not the dryer, the space. You can measure the dryer you have, but these are things, and you've gone out many, I would venture to say y'all have done 2 trips on laundry appliances, probably as much as you've done any other appliance.
That's probably true. Probably true, yeah. And like I say, because the dimensions are different, and you know, we tend to look at, and you, the guests, tend to look at the front, but not the depth and the height and things like that. But that's always, is it wide enough? But people want to take advantage of the space above the laundry product too. Well, it's cabinets up there, and so we'll find cabinets are too low, and some of them want front loaders, lift them off the ground, put them on pedestals.
Yes.
So you got a taller washer by an inch and a half or two. Now you got a 15-inch pedestal that frequently won't fit under those upper cabinets.
Right.
And so how do we deal with that? So that's why we push and ask questions, and we'll get it right 95% of the time, but those 5% are trouble and expensive for everybody to deal with.
Many houses I've gone into, and another factor, and Roddey won't like what I'm about to bring up, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I have gone out many times, and there's sitting a new clothes dryer. And they said, you're coming out here to fix the vent. I says, why? Well, we got a new clothes dryer. It blew a fuse too. I says, that's because it wasn't your dryer. See, a lot of people in this world we live in, if the appliance doesn't work right, it's the appliance's fault. Well, in a clothes dryer, that's not the case. If you don't have the proper vent, it's not going to work right.
Amperage too these days.
Oh yeah. So you've got to stay aware of your dryer vent. You have to, or your clothes won't dry. It won't dry well, and you're going to spend. If you're spending over 50 minutes for a full load of cottons, it's not your dryer, it's your vent. I can tell you that for a fact. I've vented thousands of clothes dryers in my career. Matter of fact, in the year 2000, I shut remodeling down and opened a dryer vent business. Talked to a gentleman yesterday. It's funny, too.
Yeah.
He says, Ray, you know why I went in the dryer vent business? I said, I have an idea what you're going to tell me. You heard me on the radio, and you decided you want to open a dryer vent business. He said, you're exactly right. I said, I put a lot of people in the dryer vent cleaning business because of the radio.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to do, no big expensive, tools necessary, equipment necessary, but you've just got to have the knowledge of what a dryer vent's all about. And he said, yep, if it hadn't have been for you, I wouldn't be in business today. And I never met this guy personally until about 10 years after he heard me on the radio.
Okay.
But he's doing great at dryer vent business. At any rate, clothes dryers, laundry equipment. Be sure when you purchase new equipment, it's going to fit the space you're putting it in. That's the point at hand here. We're talking about kitchens. Most appliances are pretty, what do we call it, standard?
Before you leave that,
Sure.
The amperage on products these days, with technology.
Oh, I got to ask a question too.
We're finding things that, and you may see it in the field out there too, that, boy, if the amperage in the electrical line is not proper, or
Sure.
maybe it's older, and you think you've got a 30 amp breaker on there that does it not run at full 30 amps if it's not a good line or good wire, because there's less tolerance on our new machines. The electric control panels, if they're not operating to spec, then they'll frequently air out. And I'll
tell you another problem you're running into, and you may not know it, Roddey. The receptacles, the plug, the pigtail. If there's any resistance in that plug, meaning it's not making great connections, there have been more times than I could count through the years where I would go and see a burnt prong on the dryer. Well, that's resistance. And resistance will blow a board out in a heartbeat.
Right.
So that might be some issues around this too. A lot of people aren't aware of the resistance problem I'm talking about. But I've got one out here in the bin, Saturday's workshop. I picked it up and said, you know what caused this? You could see it. It was a burnt prong. Well, that burnt prong causes resistance, and that will burn out appliances. So moral to the story, you need to check. Whenever you update, you need to check your receptacle for your dryer. Did you know that?
No, but frequently, we'll find dryers that have half tripped.
Yeah.
So the breaker is not fully tripped, but it's only got one leg. One leg's running. And so it'll turn it, it'll light it up and turn it, and you're thinking your dryer's bad. When all they have to do is, first thing we'll tell them, go turn that breaker off, leave it off for a few minutes, and then turn it back on. Good as gold.
But you have to turn it completely off, because if one side's tripped, it won't reset unless you turn it completely off and then turn it back on.
Right.
A lot of people just flip it back to on, and it'll hold, but you hadn't made the right adjustment. You've got to cut it completely off. But there again, with the sensitivity on these computer boards, and I didn't even think about what you just brought up.
Yeah, and some of them require a 40 amp line, and a lot of the older homes have a 30 amp line. That
30
I'm right there. They're not 20 amp, right? They're 30. At least 30.
They're 30.
And so some of them require a 40 amp breaker, and if there's not a 40 amp breaker, then it's not going to work effectively, efficiently, and sometimes it'll give us an error code. So
I didn't know that. You just brought up something new to me. So some of the new dryers are requiring a 40 amp.
Yep.
Then. Well, let me take care of a few sponsors here, and then I want to talk about these new combo dryer.
Oh, yeah.
We got to talk about those. Okay. That's the all-in-one units.
Right.
All right, let me talk about Rhino Lift Foundation Solutions. Rhino Lift Foundation Solutions, Jason and Alex, two old friends, went to school together, grew up together, went to college together. One went to college for business, one went for construction management. They got out of college with degrees and said, let's open up a foundation repair business. Josh made a lot of money in the summers and all his part-time working in the foundation repair business while he was in college. Loved what he saw, loved some of the things he saw that he knew needed work, such as complete transparency, honesty. There are a lot of people in a lot of companies in the foundation repair business out there, folks, that you don't want them in your house. I'm sorry to say, but it's true. Just like everything, Charlotte's a booming city. You need companies that will give you exactly what you need and what you pay for, professionally, licensed, bonded, insured, all that good stuff. Well, that's Rhino Lift Foundation Solutions. Licensed contractor, general contractor in both North and South Carolina. Take care of any issues you may have with foundations, slabs, crawl space, encapsulations. Matters not. That's RhinoLiftFoundationSolutions.com. Go online, check them out. Great company. You can do business right there online. And let's don't forget Kilo, talking crawl spaces, Kilo Pest Control, Kilo Exterminating. Been in 3 generations old since 1939, so you know what you're getting. You're getting great quality, great service, and great knowledge to take care of your home from wood-destroying insects. That's kilo.biz. Check them out, kilo.biz. And don't forget ABS Insulation. ABS Insulation, been in business a long time in Charlotte. Family owned and operated for many, many, many years. Great company, great service. ABSinsulating.com. Greater comfort, open cell, closed cell foam. They know what they're doing, folks. And once again, ABS Insulating got a gutter division that can take care of any gutter issues you've got. The biggest enemy you've got, water. Water. Take care of the water. ABS Insulating, with this gutter protection you need, they've got you covered. Call them. Check them out. ABSinsulating.com. Today's show, Queen City Homestore. Roddey Players in the house talking, well, this hour we're going to talk a lot about appliances. Every house has got them. What you need to know, what you don't know, that you might want to know. Tune in. Listen. We got a lot of info to throw your way. Before the break there, talking about laundry equipment, these new combo, what do they call them?
All-in-ones.
They call all-in-ones?
Yeah, yeah.
How are they doing?
They're doing great. They really are. I think they actually, it's not that they're new.
No, they've been used in Europe for many, many years.
They have been, and you might remember the name Bendix.
I do.
It's an old
remember.
commercial laundry product, and they've had these small 24-inch wide, 34-inch tall units that have been around for a long time, but they were not easy to use. They were not friendly to use. They were not effective, or it was just not a great product out there. But General Electric came out with one. I guess it's probably been 4 or 5 years now. Big capacity, like a regular kind of front load capacity, I'm gonna call it. 5 or so cubic foot front load washer, good drum. And then they made them a heat pump dryer. Heat pump dryer, which means you can plug it into 120 volts, and so it's a whole different. And you can even install them when you don't have drains, because
it collects the water and sends it out the washer drain.
It does. It does. I'm sorry about vents. I should have said non-vented, because it collects the condensation and
within the unit
and sends it back out the washer drain.
Doesn't have a dryer vent.
So now you got all kinds of applications for multifamily opportunities and things like that with a product that's people enjoy using, I guess. You enjoy doing laundry?
Well, no, you got to do laundry.
But at least
a lot of people hate laundry,
That's
Roddey.
what I'm saying. It's less.
My first wife could not stand doing laundry.
Yeah, but it's something that it's much more enjoyable to use than the old typical stuff was. And you can push the button one time and you come back, and your clothes are clean and dry. Now we'll say that the dry is different.
It's longer. Much longer.
No, it's not. The
Really?
dry is longer. It feels different coming out of the dryer.
Oh, really?
It's not as much heat.
Okay.
So your clothes aren't as hot as they are. And to be candid with you, they actually might feel a little bit damp to you, but it's part of the process. You take them out feeling damp by the time you get them folded up and they're dry. It's just the process is just different than we're accustomed to. But the thing, it's convenience. The young people want convenience. They push the button one time, you come back, you get clean and dry clothes.
What about
that's
size?
tremendous.
Is size been an issue at all?
No, it's 28 inches wide like their front loaders are. It's taller because it's got the heat pump dryer mechanisms on the top of it. So
Right.
It's a taller console. But it's a wonderful product. My son's got one and uses it, and it's kind of he wanted to test it out. But Ray, I tell you what other people are doing is they'll buy 2 of them. So now you got 2 washers and 2 dryers in the space of where you used to have a washer and dryer.
Around $2,000
Each.
That's what I'm
for
saying.
the best ones. For the best
I'm
ones.
talking
Yeah.
$2,000 per
For
appliance.
the best ones, but now and you can daisy chain them together and plug them into one outlet. So it's crazy that people would think that way, but I mean, like I say, one and done. If you got 2 loads, put them in each unit, push button once, and they're both done when you get back. You can monitor it by your phone, tell you when it's all done.
Oh, so they got apps for your phone?
Oh yeah, you don't have to go back and check it. It'll tell you when it's done. I mean, it's phenomenal technology, and it's super efficient. And
how many manufacturers are making them now?
So virtually everybody's got them now.
Well, I didn't know that.
But some are still not as good as others. The General Electric units are really great. Whirlpool's got some units out there that are, when I say that are normal capacity or big enough capacity to make them usable. Because the originals would almost say were 2.5, 2.8 cubic feet. Now these are over 5 cubic feet, so they're twice as big as the old style units were. But they're enjoyable to use, and people are really liking them. But they're selling.
That's good news, because I was very skeptical.
Yeah,
to
myself
say the
too.
least.
I was too. And like I say, I'm gonna say you can wash and dry in an hour in some of these things. Now, maybe not a big bulky load, but you said cottons and things like that, you can get them done quickly.
Wow.
In a short wash cycle and then a shorter dry cycle too.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's good report.
Great technology.
Like I said, I had no idea that what was to come, what was the result of that new appliance, because, I do remember Barry Clemens with Architect. He was one of the first people I know that bought one of those.
Yeah. It's still called Architect?
What's that?
Is it still Architect?
There is an Architect in town still.
Yeah. Good.
It's been sold 2 more times, I think.
Okay.
Taken over, I think. A lot of that going on in the business. Let me ask you back to your Queen City Home Store, the new look, new way of doing things. There's a lot of furniture companies around town.
There are. Absolutely.
A lot of, I've noticed, because I've noticed your social media presence have stepped up quite a bit around Queen City Home Store. The furniture industry, when you go into these new cities,
right,
are you finding the competition to be tough or very competitive? Do they?
Some of these, to be honest with you, are in smaller markets, and I'm going to probably say there's maybe less competition in there. Our competitors are like the Lowe's and Home Depots of the world out there.
Sure.
And there's 44 Lowe's stores in our Charlotte marketplace and 20-some Home Depot stores. Maybe it's reversed in Atlanta. But in these smaller markets, like in Goldsboro, for example, there's 1 Lowe's and no Home Depot in there.
Right.
That doesn't mean we don't charge different prices in the small markets than we do the big markets, but it's different. And so when there's but it's just like I say, trying to build that brand out there in these smaller markets. Right. But it's not that competition's tougher, because we still do things the same way. We do find that styles may differ in different markets.
Right.
Aiken, South Carolina might be a little different market than Durham, for example. You think about Durham, the Research Triangle, and the young people coming in there and their urban feel to a town like Durham. Are they going to sell the same style of furniture that we would in Aiken, South Carolina, which you think of Aiken as being old world, horse country, polo yards and polo grounds and things like that?
I never thought about it, but that's why I asked the question.
It's just different. In the antebellum houses in Aiken, there are probably some in Durham too, but it's just, I think about Durham as being more technology, more urban,
right?
More hipster, little hipster.
Yeah, and so we have to lay out our showrooms differently to appeal to the clients and guests that live in those markets. And so I think there's a lot of companies that don't know how to do that. I remember, I'm gonna say years ago, there's a big appliance company that came to town from Boston, Massachusetts. You might remember the name. It's directly across the street from us in Independence Boulevard, called Lechmere. Came out of Boston. And so we open up a new store. Here's what we ship to every store. And they got snow blowers and snowmobiles in their Independence Boulevard store here in Charlotte.
That don't fit.
It's just you can't. Markets are not all markets are the same. We got to realize we can't do things the same way. And they had a bunch of small capacity, 28-inch wide refrigerators on their floor that they sell in those urban markets where they're going tall and not wide like we have. We got space for big refrigerators, and so they got a floor that's displayed with dozens and dozens of small capacity, narrow refrigerators. When that's not what we sell in the Carolinas, and so we have to look at each market and identify what their needs are and fill them. So,
I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. Business 101.
I hear you.
Right products. You got to have the right products in the right place.
Well, now I'm going to go to another area of cooking here in the kitchen. One of the things we talk about every time Roddey's on the show about new technology, and if there's any you want to share with us, I'd love to hear it, but I want to talk about Induction Cooktops. So
there's some neat stuff going on there. We talked about some stone people earlier today too. We're seeing where cooking, let's call it a hob, I guess, the actual burner itself,
yes,
is being Some of them are integrated in the cooktops, meaning that the burner actually comes through the cooktop, so it's just the burner, and you got stone around it. But there's also some that put their burner attached to the bottom of the stone.
When Ivy Young was in here, you know Ivy, cutting edge.
Okay, gotcha. I'm sorry.
Ivy's with cutting edge stoneworks.
Yep.
She told me about that. Mm-hmm. She told me that they can put a induction cooktop below the counter material. You don't even see it.
You can't. You cannot even see it. So
But
it's
to me,
magnetic. As long as a magnet can go through it, that's the induction works. That's how it works.
It blows my mind.
Yeah.
But now I'm just thinking about replacement. How in the world can you put a cooktop below the counter and come back 15, 20 years and replace it?
So replace it with the same thing that's under it now.
But how the accessibility is what I'm kind of getting at.
Yeah.
How in the world would I put a cooktop below a counter? I'm just throwing it out there because my brain.
You're just applying. You're just installing it from underneath instead of putting it on top.
Yeah. Wow.
And so now, will the dimensions change? Is your question, I guess. So maybe you've got an 8-inch burner, and maybe competition forces them. We want 10-inch burners, or maybe you want a 10-inch burners, and so it's kind of inset into that stone.
I hear you.
I believe it's not a 1/4-inch or 1/2-inch stone that.
Well, they've got that now. They've got 1/4-inch and half. What they've got, the technology and counter. She blew me away with some of this new stuff.
Will those burners go through that kind of dimension though? Through a 1/2-inch?
She said it would.
Okay, all right.
Well,
I mean,
that's just
that's
what
good to know. But the other thing is these induction too. You know, typically you've got a burner and it's a 8-inch wide or a 10-inch wide burner. Maybe it's a griddle type burner with a bridge in between.
Right.
These new induction tops, you can cook anywhere on it. Anywhere. You can move your pan across.
Yeah, I know.
And it's not that it has to be in a certain place.
As long as it can make connection with the magnetic technology.
Yeah, it's crazy. But no, it's wonderful.
Let me talk about induction cooktops, though. A lot of people like gas, but can't get gas, or it's very expensive to get gas, whatever the case may be. I mean, just last week, matter of fact, one of the customers here, your customers here in the past couple of weeks, they called me and I went out to replace the wall oven. And I went out, and when there again, it was a little different size, and I had to put a bigger filler at the bottom. Worked it out, looked great. They were very happy. But she says, he turned around and said, "Ray, look at my cooktop. What's your thoughts on that?" I said, "What do you mean, what are my thoughts on it?" He says, "Well, my wife's looking to replace it. Would you recommend gas or what?" I said, "Do you know anything about induction cooktops?" He says, we've heard it, and my wife mentioned it. I said, "Well, it's something you need to look into." So I said, "But first, I need to go make sure you got it covered electrically speaking, because you got to have a 40 amp.
That's
minimum 40 amp.
Yeah.
And the leads are different too, but that's not a big factor. But at any rate, so I said right then, I said, "Man, induction cooktop, you can boil water in 90 seconds or less," because I did it.
Yep.
And the cooking on an induction cooktop with the right pots is just as good, if not better, in some cases than gas.
Total control.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely mind-blowing.
So how often do you find that you can get that 40 amp line in there? Because sometimes service is limited. You only have so many amps that you can put into a house, right? Whatever that service is.
Well, the vast majority of the times when it comes to a cooktop, you got a 50 amp circuit feeding it. However, in the older electrical situations, the wall ovens or the wall oven that's separate from the cooktop are tied. If it's an electric cooktop, an electric range, they're on the same circuit.
Okay.
That can be detrimental to a induction cooktop because of the power. You don't have the necessary power fully going to it. So you need to check that aspect of it. But it's going to take a 40 amp circuit, a dedicated circuit for
dedicated.
Induction.
That's the word, dedicated.
Dedicated circuit, a 40 amp dedicated circuit minimum going to an induction cooktop.
The reason I ask is I saw something I saw at Kitchen and Bath, and I saw it at a trade show I went to the other week. there's a lot of people that they don't have enough service available to them.
I agree.
Once you get, I don't know, what's it, 480 amps into a house? I don't know what that number is.
Well, typically most houses 200 amp service.
Okay, 200 amp service. So once you get 40 amps allocated to your dryer,
right?
You got all these 115 volts.
Sure.
They have they draw it too. So I ran into something the other day that it's so people want induction, but they've got gas and they don't have the amperage available in that system to do it.
Exactly.
There's a solution.
There is a solution, but it's going to take an electrician.
No, sir.
No?
I saw something the other day. It's the darnest thing I've ever seen. 115 volts is all it's required. That's what your gas cooktop is.
Yeah, you're right.
Or gas range. It's a battery-operated induction range.
No.
Darnest thing I've ever seen. And so it plugs into 115 volts. It's called copper. And so we're looking at it, see if it's something that's viable. Once again,
who makes it?
It's Copper is the name of the manufacturer. That's the name of the manufacturer.
Okay.
And so it really is. So you plug it in all day long, and you cannot wear it out. I mean, you can't run the battery down because it's plugged in all the time. But it's actually running on the battery. The 115 volts is simply charging the battery,
feeding the battery.
So the battery's feeding the cooktop and feeding the oven. I mean, they're telling this thing's running 4 and 5 and 6 hours, depending on how much you're doing.
Really?
Which is crazy. I'm thinking, well, why would we need that? And it's for people who have gas.
They don't have the right. They don't have the electrical service.
Yeah. So there's people that are, and let's call them the people that are trying to be super energy efficient, and they don't like the contaminants, whatever, from the gas and that kind of stuff. They want to go to induction, and it performs. It's a premium type product that performs like a premium type product.
Copper.
I was blown away by it. But it's an induction top and convection range. Looks like a professional 30-inch range in your home. I think 30. They maybe the 36 is coming, but it's not there yet because it requires more power because it's an extra burner.
Yes.
But I saw the same thing in a cooktop. Zephyr has the same thing in a cooktop. It's battery operated.
Battery technology is amazing.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to understand what's the real. Is it cool? Yes, cool. But is it really going to do anything? Is it going to be significant enough for us to invest in it, to put it in our stores and find the right place for it? But
I'm going to do some research on that. Yeah. I'm curious.
It's interesting, but copper it's called.
Remember, induction cooktop. If you want gas because you just like cooking with gas, I think if you ever cook on induction cooking a cooktop, you'll be thoroughly amazed.
Yeah, the one requirement is to make sure your pans are okay for it. It takes
you got to have the right pan
and flat pans.
Yeah, well, it has to be flat because it's magnetic induction. Right. It's a transfer of heat through and also. When you're done, you turn it off, you can touch the burners. Yeah.
Instant on, instant off.
It will not burn you. Mm-hmm. It's hard to believe.
It is. But the control you've got with that, we're starting to see where they're putting degrees on the burner knobs.
Not just
low, medium, high. It's 200 degrees or 150 degrees, whatever those numbers are. You can put it to a degree, and that's what it's going to be inside that pot.
And when you when you pan fry steak, for example, I cooked 2 steaks on an induction cooktop. Saturday evening. And, you want a good hot heat to sear a steak, right? Well, believe me, induction cooktop gets hot. They get too hot. I mean, if you get it up around 9 or 10, you're going to burn that steak. Mm-hmm. So you just need to be aware. It's amazing.
It is.
And even like with gas, what's the hardest setting on a gas cooktop is your simmers.
Right. It's tough. Not many people do it well.
Yeah, simmers. Yeah. I know putting in the KitchenAid downdrafts and what have you now, or Gen Airs, they put this little new burner cap for the small one called the melt cap. Yeah. Forever showing it to homeowners, telling them what it's for. Yeah. I said, this is your...
They stick it in the drawer and forget about it.
Yeah, but they don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. And I always tell them, I said, now, this cooktop is different from your old cooktop with this burner. Yeah. Because with this little burner cap right here, you got a simmer that's hard to achieve otherwise. They says, really? I said, that's why it says melt on it. It's for melting butter because it cools the heat down, so it won't burn something.
Right.
So, but I thought I'd throw that out there because a lot of people don't really, even though they've been out quite a while, don't know much about induction cooktops. But
good stuff.
Great appliance.
Good stuff. Yes, sir.
All right, let me cover my people here. Talking about Floor Coverings International. Every house you go into got a floor. and most of them got carpet, LVP, vinyl, whatever the case may be. Or the number one floor. What's the number one floor in Charlotte market, Roddey? What do you think?
Number one floor.
Flooring requested.
Oh, new purchases?
New, old, whatever, remodel.
LVT
the number one floor.
LVT stuff or
No, actually it's oak flooring, hardwood floors.
Okay, gotcha.
Hardwood floors, wood flooring is the number one go-to floor in the Charlotte demographics. No question about it. Be it oak, be it walnut, be it cherry, be it whatever you want, Floor Coverings International got you covered. If you're looking for LVP, luxury vinyl plank, LVT, luxury vinyl tile, they got you covered. Carpet. No matter what the ceramic tile, no matter what the floor covering is, they got you covered. Colors, selection, texture, doesn't matter. They bring the showroom to you. They've got showrooms, mobile showrooms. They bring the product to you no matter where you're at. Floor Coverings International, Southeast Charlotte, will take care of your needs. And if you don't know what you want, they'll help you find the right product at the right price, guaranteed. Sound familiar, Roddey?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, there you go. Floor Coverings International, Southeast Charlotte.
I got trademark on copyright on that.
Do you really?
I'm kidding.
Oh, yeah. Well, it doesn't surprise me. Never know. That's Floor Coverings International, Southeast Charlotte. Your flooringteam.com. Check them out. Yourflooringteam.com. Floor Coverings International, Southeast Charlotte. In today's show, we've been talking Queen City Homestore. Queen City Homestore, your go-to store for, well, furniture, bedding, appliances, media. What else we got?
Flat screen outdoor, indoor and outdoor.
Well, we're going to talk about TVs.
Mm-hmm.
TV technology is always changing. And I want to thank Queen City Home Store for supporting
There you go.
Supporting the podcast studio and the toolbox over here. Two TCL
right.
TCL TVs behind us. Great technology in TVs and great pricing. And thank you. And also the vent hood we've got in the toolbox where we're going to teach kids how to cook. All about cooking. And that vent hood out there, that's it.
It's good.
Good vent hood.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the only bad thing about it, it's got to be cleaned.
You know what? People don't clean their hoods, do they?
No kidding. I tell a quick story. You know how I got that Viking cooktop out there? A Queen City customer.
Yeah.
I went to replace her vent hood. She called me up. I got to tell this story. Mm-hmm. She called me up. She said, Ray, Queen City gave me your phone number that you might be able to install my new vent hood when it comes in. Mm-hmm. I said, well, tell me something. There again, I said, send me the make and model number of what you have. Okay, I'll do that. She was going from a Thermador to a Wolf. Mm-hmm. And I went out there and looked at it. But before I went out, I asked her, I said, well, what's wrong with the hood you're replacing? She was silent a minute. And I says, are you there? She said, yeah, I'm here. I was just thinking. And I says, well, what's wrong with the hood? She says, it's dirty. Mm-hmm. That's all she said, it's dirty. She says, but it's also 18 years old, Ray. And she said, I know it's going to break. So I said, I'd go ahead and replace it. So I went out there and replaced her hood because it was dirty.
Yeah.
And then I also told her there were companies out there that clean vent hoods. Mm-hmm. And she said, that's okay. It's 18 years old. I know we're going to have to replace it eventually, so we'll go ahead and do it. Well, when I was out there replacing the vent hood, mm-hmm. she has a Viking 48-inch cooktop. You saw it out there.
I did.
And she says, but when I was leaving that day, after I put the hood up, she says, Ray, do you have any idea what I could do with this, anybody that may want this cooktop? I says, well, what's wrong with it?
Dirty.
It's 18 years old and it's a little dirty.
Yeah.
I said, does it work right? She said, yeah, it works great. She said, I hadn't used this grill probably twice since I've owned it. Mm-hmm. I said, wow. I said, tell you what you do. You call me the day they put the new one in, the Wolf. And she did. And I said, I'll be over there tomorrow to pick it up.
Yeah, how about that?
So I went and picked it up, and you see it.
There you go.
And it works great.
Yep.
But back to the vent hood. If you have a vent hood, a lot of people don't use ventilation in the kitchens. A lot of people will cook without venting, which is, you got grease all over your upper cabinet.
Yeah, that's the reason for vent. They think it gets the smoke out, but it keeps the smoke and grease off your cabinets is what it
Absolutely.
does.
Yeah. And believe me, if you've got a vent hood and you cook every day, you're going to need to keep that vent hood clean. Mm-hmm. And last Saturday, I didn't have enough kids, but this Saturday, if I got enough kids, we're going to tear that one down and clean it.
Yeah.
And it's brand new.
You know, do you talk to them about? Well, we should. So you don't turn your vent hood on when things start smoking either. You know,
no, it's too late then.
It is, because it's already out of the box or whatever. But you want to get those hoods started early so they start the circulation with clean air, and then the smoke gets into the system and runs out the vents instead of running out into your kitchen. But no, there's tons of people that don't use them, and I understand.
They're noisy.
They are. That's all there is to it. But some are quieter than others. And there's a they don't measure it in dBs necessarily. Sones is how they measure it, I guess, and the noise levels. But
right.
Lower the sone, the more quiet it is. But you just have to. They say the best parties are in the kitchen, right? But yeah, no, use that vent. It'll cut down your cleanup and things like that, and really lifespan. The cabinets will look better longer if you're not doing a lot of cleaning too.
That job I was talking about, the appliance didn't come in until a day late.
Mm-hmm.
And I had he questioned me about that. He says, "Ray, I'll be honest with you, I rarely use that downdraft vent."
Yeah.
I said, then I reached up to the cabinet above and I got my finger.
Good for you. Good for you.
I scraped the grease off his cabinet and I showed him my finger. I said,
"That's why.
This is why you need to start using it." And he was an Asian fella, loved to cook, but he had a lot of grease, a lot of grease. And another thing, since we're talking about kitchen ventilation is very necessary if you're cooking on a daily basis. And not only that, but you need to know about your CFM. That's cubic feet per minute of airflow. And now, if you get over 400, and we need to bring this up because it's something all your salespeople are very much aware of, and that's makeup air.
Yeah.
There are building codes that require over 400 CFM of air. If you take over 400 out, you got to bring over 400 in. And that's called makeup air.
Why is that, Ray?
Because of the houses built after, I like to use 2010 for mine, but the code doesn't dictate a year of when your house was built or when it was effective. What it does dictate is the code.
It's because they're so tight.
Because they're so tight, you can affect the fireplace, the pilot lights on your water heater, be it gas, definite ventilation. Air's got to come from somewhere. And the way they're building houses today, as tight as they are, you've got to, like I said, you've got to be aware of the safety factors involved with the makeup air, because you've got to get that air from somewhere.
Yeah, so I guess to put it in layman's terms, some of the listeners may understand when you're talking about the pilot lights, how it affects the pilot lights, because it can pull the flame off of it.
It can pull the flame off of it. It can pull the vent down from the gas heater. I mean, you got a gas vent, an exhaust vent for a water heater, okay? Where you're going to get an air, it'll pull the air down that vent if you can't get it anywhere else. Your fireplace, it'll pull air down the fireplace. You've got to have makeup air. Now, and I'll be straight about this, if someone calls me and says, well, I was told that I have to have makeup air, I said, did you permit the job? They say, no. I says, well, then when was the house built? Built in 1975. You don't need makeup air. Right. Well, why do they say I need makeup air? Then I explain to them exactly what I just talked about. Right. But if your house is closer to a dog crate, now what I mean by a dog crate is a leaky house. I mean, you take the house, post-World War II houses built in Charlotte between 1945 and 1960. Those houses were basically dog crates. That was before the big conservation effort around energy. Back in those days, we didn't have much concern about that, but we do now.
I was around in 73 and 74.
Right.
Oil embargo and all that stuff. Energy back then. Wow, that was something.
Yep. But let's move to the TVs. You want to?
Yeah, sure.
What's new in TVs?
Bigger, and prices keep coming down. We got 100-inch flat panel TVs now that you can afford to buy. It's one of those things that, how do they keep improving technology when they're trying to get 4K to 8K to 16K, but we can't get that kind of content. But they keep trying to do those things. But right now, it's about size. I even saw a TV at a show that was translucent. You can see through the panel. Thinking, what's the purpose of that? But it winds up being, think of it like it's a fishbowl when the TV's not on.
Yeah.
Looks like an aquarium. It's just phenomenal. But there's micro LEDs now, micro QLED stuff it's just the dots are getting smaller and more,
I don't know
more
how
detail. And
when I come into the store and watch, you got a whole room full of TVs out at the new store in Pineville, whole room.
Yep.
How can you get any better than that?
It's crazy. When you put them on a wall, it's hard to tell which one's which. To be honest with you,
it is.
But there's some that perform better in certain types of viewing. Like the faster the hertz ratio is, the faster the screen changes. In other words, because you're constantly repainting that screen with new images.
Right.
And so if you're watching a sporting event, then the higher the hertz rating on the TV is going to get you a better picture, meaning the screen is flipping, repainting faster and faster and faster. And you can't see it or feel it or think about it necessarily, but that's what it's doing. And there's contrast ratios, meaning the blacks and the whites, there's a distinct, sharper difference, I guess, so it doesn't bleed or blend the black and the white. It's a contrast, a sharper contrast ratio. And those kind of things just add detail to each of the pictures that you're looking at. And like I say, it's hard to tell them if they're on the wall, but we can kind of show you some of those images that make it look different.
Well, I'm totally pleased with these two monitors came in here.
Yeah.
And couldn't have hung them without Queen City Homestores. Got articulating arms, and
there you go.
y'all sell all the hanging
we do. We
hardware.
We do all that, yeah.
Y'all install TVs?
We do. And right now, you get a lot fewer wires because everything's Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, all that kind of stuff that you don't have to worry about too many wires. You have to worry about having too many wires.
When I put them on the wall, plugged them in.
Yeah.
And they're ready to go.
Just find your Wi-Fi signal. It's easy to program them, and everybody's streaming these days, it seems like. And so finding the right provider for your streaming services, be careful because you can sign up for a lot of stuff you'll forget about. But
what do you got in your store, as a matter of fact? Is it?
So it's just streaming stuff in the stores. It's not a subscription.
Are you on fiber optics in the store?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you considered Starlink?
No, we haven't.
I'm curious.
Yeah. Starlink, my experience with Starlink is it's really great for more of the rural stuff. I'm not sure if they're going to be as effective in the urban markets where we have high density and things like that. I guess a friend of mine's got a place in the mountains and it's ideal up there.
Right.
I haven't seen it. I don't know. How much does that cost? The numbers I've seen, it's not like it's a less expensive format. I think it's for those who have trouble getting.
Well, my son down in Payson, he's got Starlink.
Okay.
And very happy with it.
Good.
Over what he had before.
So it's reliable and the signals are good.
Yeah, very, very reliable. And he's
a friend of mine in the mountains has it, and he sees some buffering and things like that on his stuff. But
here in the studio we've got fiber optics, and fiber optics is definitely going to be the new. Yeah. Because infrastructure around fiber optic, S&N, one of the supporters of Put Tools in Schools, they do fiber optic infrastructure. Yeah. I was just curious.
It's just going to get better and better and better, at the end of the day. And I'm sure Starlink will continue to get better and better coverage, too. But no, we're on fiber at all stores.
Well, back to the TVs a minute. We got exterior TVs. A big difference?
It's hard to swallow, but they're encased. The outdoor TVs are encased. You think about it, in the elements, the humidity that we deal with here.
Have there been a lot of issues around exterior TVs? Because I know people are hanging this TV outside.
Yeah, it's happened to me. It's happened to me. Where
That's why
I thought, man, I paid $300 and put a 40-inch TV or above the fireplace outside or whatever. And sure enough, the humidity gets to the electronics, but also the insects, spiders, dust, bug, can get in there. But the outdoor TVs are encased. And it used to be, they were 5 or 6 times the price of a TV, but we've got a couple brands now. Furion's one it's 2 or 3 times as expensive, but it will last 4 to 5 times as long. Is what I would say.
Gotcha.
But I've got some that have had some issues, and so I've switched to outdoor TVs myself personally. We didn't actually have a vendor for that until recently that we were comfortable with, but we do now. And there's once again you want Wi-Fi out there because you don't want to not always easy to run cables out there, whatever, fiber. But so the Bluetooth and wireless makes it easy, Wi-Fi, and so but outdoor TVs really do save you money long term. But sometimes it's hard to pay $1,500 when you can pay $4 or $5.
Well, I got 50 seconds.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me on again.
Well, thank you for supporting.
I've known you for a long time, brother. We've been good friends and business partners too. You do a lot of great work for us. A lot of the Ray gets to handle a lot of the tough stuff for us out there too.
Love it.
It's complicated, complex.
Keeps me young.
Yeah.
Keeps me young and healthy.
Yeah, and remember Chip out there too. He's a good friend of yours, and so we got Chip's kind of working.
Chip Venture in your prayers.
Yeah,
folks.
kind of working in a hybrid environment for us right now, but yeah, we really do appreciate what you've done for our business, and
well, thank you, sir.
Been a long relationship.
All right, folks. Next Saturday, About Your House. Next week, About Your House. We're talking gardening. Yep, hadn't had a gardening show for many, many months. So we got to get off here. About Your House, Fox Sports Charlotte, 9 to 11 every Saturday. We'll talk to you next week right here on About Your House.